Hello, welcome back to a new video. My name is Vivian from ThePaperLetterBlog. You just got a sneak peek of Sage, my cat, and we are here today with a process video of a mini pocket letter. Now, I'm saying mini pocket letter because I have a regular card protector sleeve. I'm just cutting that, like trimming off the top 3 pockets, because a lot of you have requested for me to do pocket letter videos, but I'm not actually that comfortable with filling 9 pockets. I'll tell you more about that in a second. So what I decided to do is make a mini one. So I just trimmed 3 pockets off, and I'm going to fill those with pretty little collages. Now, the reason why I say I'm not very comfortable with making a full-sized one is because when I craft, I like to make it up as I go, basically. And when I have a full-sized pocket letter, I know from the beginning that I have to fill 9 pockets. And for some reason, that just limits my creativity. It actually scares me a little bit. Like, what, Vivian? It actually scares me a little bit. So that is why I usually like to focus on making mini ones. Just as cute, the idea is the same. It's just not like that full-on anxiety of having to create 9 individual little collages. Also, yes, Sage is going to be in this video a lot. You can see sometimes that little paw trying to sneak some of my paper scraps or things I'm using off of my desk so she can play with it on the floor. She will also sleep on my lap, sleep on my table, sit on my stuff, try and interact with everything that moves. But that's just cats. And I love her very, very much. It's just, she's so annoying sometimes. Cute, but really annoying. Oh, before anyone asks, the main collection basically I'm using here, so the papers and the die cuts you see in that little box, are from Dear Lizzy, It's All Good. So that's the name of the collection, It's All Good, which is very applicable to my life. But yeah, that's my box with paper scraps. I'm using a box of paper scraps to also create a back, like put paper on the back side of the flip book, so that of the pocket letter, so that it looks a little bit more neat. And I'm using scrap paper for that because I'm never ever going to use up all of my scraps, and if I can find a way to use some of it, I'm going to use some of it. And then I also, by the way, before I forget, I also bought the digital collection. You can buy like scrapbooking collections online. For those of you who do not have scrapbooking stores, you can buy those online. I have this website called AC Digitals. It's completely legit, and what you do is you basically buy the papers and the dies, like the die cuts, like the shapes and the stickers and all of that, and then you can print them out yourself, which is what you're going to see in a second. So I now have the lid of that box is going to be filled with little dies that I cut out myself. So that's a good tip for anyone who does not have access. There's the box. See, I printed all of those myself. They do not look as pretty as the original ones, but they're really, really fun to work with. And if you like one particular die cut a lot, you can just print it 16,000 times. So for me, this collection also has a couple stamp die cuts, so naturally I printed the stamps a lot extra. This is not sponsored, by the way. I do not get sponsored. That would be cool by AC Digitals. AC Digitals, if you're watching, I would be open for a sponsorship. But no, it's not sponsored. I just like using them. Especially, like I said, because you can just print your favorites 12 times. And then those vintage looking tickets are from Aliexpress. So they're not actually vintage, they just look vintage, but they're very, very cool. And what you see now is just my regular process. I take out things I like, things that I think will look nice, and I move it around a million times until I am somewhat pleased. That's the fun thing of die cuts. You don't have to stick them down right away. You can just move them around as often as you like. It's a little bit dark. I'm sorry for that. It's fall now, in case you haven't realized, which means that natural like daylight is not... I don't have that much daylight anymore. It gets darker very early, which I hate. And the solution for that would be a daylight lamp, but I'm still saving for that, so a little bit more patience, please. What am I telling you guys? Okay, so this collection has a lot of cute, fruity elements, like life's a peach, stuff like that. So I decided to work with that a little bit, and then also incorporate those vintage tickets that I think look very cool. But I did not want to cover up all of the background because I also really like that colorful raindrop paper. So I decided to tear the tickets and to use them like that. But yeah, I guess you guys can see what I'm doing, right? Cat in the top left corner, if I'm not mistaken. And then, is that a cat? I don't actually know. That's an odd shape. But yeah, for those of you who are new to my channel, hi, my name is Vivian. No, I'm kidding. But I've actually been in group therapy for very, very long. That's already quite a while ago. I used to do I did a year of group therapy, let me say it like that. And then with group therapy, I mean 2 days a week from 9 to 5 or from 10 to 5. So it's actually like part-time therapy. And that helped me a lot. Like I'm still struggling, but if you guys would have met me before therapy, I don't think you would recognize me. Like I was not in a good place. But hey Sage, look, she's trying to steal my die cut. But yeah, I was actually a lot worse. And then I did a year of group therapy, and then I also had a year of like aftercare, or a year and a half almost, I think. And with aftercare, I just mean that every few weeks I would just go back and have like a check-in appointment. And then a couple months ago, like 2 months ago, nearly 3 months ago, I had my last appointment. But then now I'm actually back in therapy, like not full-on therapy. It's just, I don't know if this is in other countries as well, but our doctor's office has like a licensed therapist 1 day a week. So you can just book an appointment with her. You don't have to go through like all of the waiting lists and all of that. It's not, how do I say this? It is official therapy. It's just not long term, and the sessions are also really, really short. It's just 20 to 25 minutes, so it's not therapy. It's just kind of get back on track sessions, I guess you could say. So she focuses a lot more on mindfulness, and because we have such limited time, she focuses more on giving me kind of exercises to work on for 3 weeks, and then I get back to her again. And I started that because, as you may or may not know, ever since starting my new job, I've been struggling a lot with anxiety again. I have massive fear of failure that comes forward in every aspect of this new life, basically. Like a new job, of course, I want to prove myself, but it's also a large team, which I love most of the time, but it also means that a lot of people could potentially reject me, and that actually influences my daily life a lot. Like, I love it so much there that I keep kissing Sage, I'm sorry. I love my new job so much that I want to work through it, but actually working through it has been quite a challenge. Like, I know that this is so dangerous. Sage almost stepped on the Nuvo Drops. But I know that or at least I'm hoping that it's only temporary. Like, I've been at my new job for nearly 3 months now, and I have a feeling it will get better soon. But still struggling with that much anxiety, it just feels kind of silly. Not silly, I don't know. Like, what I'm trying to say is I've been in group therapy for a year, and then aftercare for a year and a half, and before that I also had a lot of therapy. So I've been in therapy for years, and to still, and I am saying still between, like with air quotes, to still struggle, you know, I'm kind of making fun of myself because it's normal to struggle, but to me it feels like after all of this therapy I am still struggling, you know. To still struggle feels like a waste of time almost. Like, Vivian, you've learned so much. get it together. And I'm not saying that, I do not mean that that's just what happens inside my head, because I know, like, if a friend would tell me, hey Vivian, I've been in therapy for years and now I'm struggling, I would tell her, girl, it's totally normal to struggle, it's part of life. But telling that to a friend is easier than telling it to myself. And that's also why I like doing these videos, because for me it helps to talk about it, first of all. And then second of all, a lot of you will be very, very sweet and reach out to me to say that everything is going to be okay, which helps me. But I'm also secretly hoping that it will help you, because telling someone else to not be so hard on yourself might make you realize that that's what you're doing as well. And I'm not trying to be like an amateur therapist or anything, but I've always found that in these situations, comparing myself to others who are in similar situations helps a lot. So that's why I like to tell my anxiety story, so that in a way you guys can compare yourself to me and realize we are not alone. Hope that makes sense. Again, this is just what I found from sharing my story in previous times, so I'm not trying to be like an amateur therapist or anything, but it makes me feel less alone, and that helps me. And like I said, I know that feeling less alone helps others too, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But basically what I'm trying to say is that I'm very hard on myself, like I said, telling myself I need to be better, which does not help me naturally. And I've learned a lot in therapy about how to help myself, but I'm finding it very hard to actually apply that in real life. Like, I will know that accepting my feelings will make them go, like, accepting that I'm in pain will make the pain get a little bit lighter. Accepting that I'm hurting will make the anxiety a little bit less. Accepting that I'm angry will help me deal with certain feelings. So I know that accepting is a very large part of my process, but I simply cannot. Like, if I'm anxious, I should be telling myself, Vivian, you're anxious, take care of yourself, it's going to be okay. But instead, I'm doing that I've been in therapy for years and I should be better thing. So the reason why I'm at that doctor's office therapist now every few weeks is so that she can hopefully help me implement what I've learned in therapy in real life. So she's giving me exercises to help me deal with my feelings. Like, I've already learned all of these things in therapy. That's also what she told me. Like, I cannot teach you anything you haven't already learned, but I just need some help actually applying what I've learned. So I wanted to share that with you, and also because I actually got an exercise today that I think might help some of you as well. So I'm going to share my exercise, if that's all right with you. This can be applied to any feeling, so not just anxiety, but also anger, sadness, I don't know, just any feeling, basically. And the first thing you need to do is kind of locate it in your body. Some of you might feel sadness like all around, but most of us, or at least from what I've learned, a lot of the feelings will kind of center in a certain place in your body. We all know the saying, someone has a lump in their throat, or you have a pit in your stomach. I, for example, when I get anxious, most of my feelings, like the tension, will always be in my throat. So trying to focus on where that feeling is. So for me, that would be my throat. I'm going to imagine with my mind going towards that lump in my throat, and I'm going to circle it. So I draw a circle around the lump in my throat. I really hope this makes sense, but to me it did make a lot of sense. So I imagine drawing a circle around the lump in my throat, and the first thing that does is it will create kind of a boundary between you and your feeling. So you have a certain feeling, but it's not you. So that lump in my throat is a lump in my throat with anxiety, but it's not me. It's just it's happening to me, if that makes sense. And the second thing that does is when you actively take your mind to where it hurts, you're already giving yourself a certain amount of self-care. Because what I like to do is ignore every feeling, just ignore it. And then when I kind of imagine going to that lump in my throat with my mind, I'm already not ignoring it, I'm acknowledging it, and that's a very, very big step. So that's actually the main part of this exercise, acknowledging that lump in your throat or the pit in your stomach. And we're going to acknowledge it even more by assigning certain symptoms to it, or certain characteristics. That's the right word. We're going to assign characteristics to it. So I'm going to look at the lump in my throat and say, hey, is this a rock, or is it soft? Can I move it around, or is it like sturdy, basically? Is it a certain color? Does it have lumps? Does it have spikes? Basically, we're just going to assess it. And it doesn't really matter how you assess it, but the main part of this exercise is that you actually acknowledge that there is a lump in your throat, and that is going to help a lot, because if you are like me, you will always want to push it away, and this helps you to not push that away. Okay, I have no clue if that helped anyone, but I'm certain that this is going to help me. So I am going to focus on assigning characteristics to certain my cat is scratching the door. Hello, Noose, please. So I'm going to work with this exercise, and I just thought that first of all, I like to let you guys know how I am and where I'm at in life, and second of all, I thought maybe it could potentially help someone else. So I don't know, I guess that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Whether you just watched it for the mail or whether you're also here to listen is all completely fine, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.